welcome to Wrestle Talk with Arabbidb3aver. I'm your host, the elusive Arabbidb3aver, and joining me tonight is the man, the myth, the legend, and now Hall of Famer, Professor Bear from the WSN, the Wrestling Society Network. Professor Bear, how are you doing tonight?
Man, I am super blessed. I'm alive, and everything else is a bonus. So,
absolutely. I've got a lot of stuff to talk about with you. First, let's talk about the Wrestling Society Network. Let's talk about where you're at, what you're doing, the plans you have in the future, and some of the shows that you've put on the Wrestling Society Network have been phenomenal here recently. I want you to go ahead and just let's talk about it.
All right. Well, the Wrestling Society Network was an idea from the co-CEO and the founder, Brady Owens, and he loved wrestling as a kid. And he thought to himself, why don't we have more places where we can see wrestling 24/7? So he decided that he was going to make this WSN. He tried it, and then he quickly found out that he needed people like-minded with his ideals. So he took a couple of years off, and then he decided to do it again. But this time he started reaching out to people to do a podcast with them. And I happened to see the post, and at first I was like, eh. And I went and told my, at the time, girlfriend, but my wife now, told her about it. And she was like, well, why are you sitting in here? Get in there and send your resume out. I'm like, man, nobody ain't gonna want to hear me talk about wrestling. She's like, baby, you would debate against God. I thought about it for a few minutes, and I was like, yeah, I would. I would try to be so humble and not like I'm committing a sin. But then I was like, yeah, let me get up. So I went sending my little resume, and the rest has been history from there.
And I mean, since you've been on there, you've got a Bear's Thoughts that go through every week. You guys host on several different other podcasts throughout the week as well. And you're doing the gaming stuff. You have gaming on your Wrestling Society Network. You put movies on the Wrestling Society Network, and you've added extra shows. So the Wrestling Society Network has grown as a whole, and it's going to continue to grow. It's going to be one of the biggest things in professional wrestling to come in the days to come. And I really like some of the stuff that you guys have done, especially covering the indies and covering the National Wrestling Alliance, covering WWE. You all have also covered AEW from time to time, and it just really gives you a great sense of what's going on. Ring of Honor, you guys covered great Ring of Honor last week, and that was just a blessing in disguise, because you don't really hear a lot about these companies anymore, especially now that they've been absolved and kind of ate up by the bigger companies. They've kind of been thrown to the wayside. So to see somebody that still has the passion and still has the fire to carry out for independent wrestling, and also smaller promotions that are trying to make a difference inside the world of wrestling for the new up and comers, is a big blessing, Professor Bear. So kudos to you. Secondly, this past year, you were inducted into the Hall of Fame. Tell us about it.
It was it came out the blue, to be totally honest with you. It is the Kentucky Commonwealth Hall of Fame that inducted me. And when they first approached me about it, I took it as a joke. I just like, that's funny. That's a good joke. And my friend, he was on the board, and he said, no, we really want you to be inducted. I'm like, why? I'm like, I don't wrestle. I was like, so what? I feel like it's a slap in the face to any professional wrestler who does this craft. That's the way I felt about it. And he's like, you do so much for wrestling that you don't understand. You do these podcasts. You have indie wrestlers and on. You have referees. You have so many different people on that never would get the opportunity. And I'm like, well, yes. I said, but that's the thing. It's not about me. It's about making wrestling better and stronger. The indies are at a tremendous time, in my point of view. I think it's more, when I grew up, it was in the 80s, the end of the territorial days. And I feel like we're having a new resurgence. You can watch anything from anywhere, YouTube or our Wrestling Society Network, and there's other networks. So you have the ability. So why not enjoy it? And a lot of people don't know about it. So I feel like it's my job to report on that, to shine a light on a spotlight on all these great indie promotions. Now, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. There are some garbage ones, but there's garbage big time wrestling too.
Well, there's garbage everywhere. Even like you said, even in the big promotions, there's matches that you see that you're like, that should have never happened. That should have never came out. They should have never done this. And so that's just give and take with it. But you know what? As long as people are striving to get better, that's what it's about. Is be better than you were yesterday and try to outperform yourself than you were the day before. Be the best you can be. So
Exactly.
I can't sit there and fault you on that, because like you said, there's trash everywhere. It doesn't matter where it's at. There's trash everywhere, Professor. Speaking about some indie promotions, we know that you love Crossfire Professional Wrestling, which is a territory of the National Wrestling Alliance now, and we've seen you at several shows. I've got to ask you, how did you feel about Kenzie Page coming out with the big guns this week, or this last show that she had, and really tearing up the spotlight there?
I I loved it. I it hurt my heart because I couldn't go. I really wanted to go, but I wasn't able to go. But I have no doubt, anytime I go to a Crossfire show, it's going to be top notch. And Kenzie, she's just doing what she always do, and that's perform at her level. And why? Because, and if you doubt her, why has she been the NWA World Heavyweight Champion for so long? Why has she all the titles in the NWA? She's been the women's tag. She's been the TV champion. She is money. So you shouldn't expect anything different than great matches from her.
And here's the thing: is we know that there's contract disputes that are about to come up and about to be available within the next year. Do you think that she gets offered big money and goes to another promotion once that contract is available?
Ooh,
See, the reason I'm asking is because she's the owner, and she's got a book no matter what for Crossfire. So that could put her in a very kind of weird predicament there a little bit.
But the thing is too, she has a great family. Her father, her uncle, her sister. So Crossfire, let's say she does take the money, which she should, because she has worked her butt off.
Yes, she has.
The Crossfire is not going to go anywhere. They're going to continue doing what they've been doing. They've been doing it for over 20, I think it's almost 25 years now. So that's not going to change. I think that personally, if she has the opportunity to get more money and more limelight, and that's what she want to do it. If she stays where she's at, do it. She has the rare ability to shine wherever she is. And that's what I look. And I'll tell you a quick story about Kenzie. The first time I ever went to a Crossfire promotion match, me and my wife were there, and we just started our podcast, the Wrestling Society podcast, and I had the shirts made, and I was like, oh, I'm wearing my shirt. Maybe people will start tuning in. I walked in, she was there, and she was doing her autograph. She saw my shirt. She's like, oh, wow, that's pretty cool. I said, yeah, we just started and stuff. She's like, you want me to cut you a promo? I'm like, what? I'm like, really? She's like, yeah, come on. Where you want to do it? She's like, let's do it out over here because it's better lighting. I'm like, okay. She cut me a promo, didn't charge me, didn't do anything. And on top of that, signed me 8x10 picture. So now, anytime I see her, she always shows me love. Matter of fact, her father and sister, they always treat me like I'm family. And she cuts a promo for me.
Awesome.
I just love them for that.
Well, you know that they're a class act, and we can't say enough about Crossfire. We can't say enough about them, the things that they've done for us, the matches that we've been involved in. We got to call some with other promotions with them as well, and they were always a class act with us while we were announcing and we were behind the microphones up front and doing commentary for them. That was always first and foremost. They impressed me by the way that they actually came and spoke to me. They actually told me, "Hey, this is my move set. This is what we're doing. This is how we're going to make this work. I would like it if you would say this, or I'd like it if you wouldn't say this, or if you'd bring this up, we can get more heat." That always, just the mind for the business, the mind to know how you're addressing people inside the business and treating people the right way will always. They always say, you catch more flies with honey than you do with crap. It's the truth. You're still going to catch flies with crap, but you're going to catch a lot more with honey. And the Page sisters, Tommy have always done me right, in the business. And they always reach out to me, always invite me to every event. So that's the type of family that you're talking about, is people that want you to come and see them, people that that take an interest in your personal life to make sure that you're doing okay, even when things are bad. And like I said, I can't say enough about them. They're doing awesome. We know JCP had a cancellation. They had a postponement. It wasn't canceled. It was postponed for Territory 2, and we're still waiting on a new date to come up for that when it's available. But we saw you at the last JCP event that was available down there in Decatur, Tennessee. How'd you think about Carson Drake coming away with the JCP title?
I was shocked. Carson Drake is one of those. I have a thing where I call a rare wrestler. He has the ability, and I put the Miz in that. I put MJF in that you never know who you're really talking to, because he stays in character, and his character is pretty much his personality. I got a chance to meet him, and I was passing on a message from a mutual friend of ours. He looked at me, and I told him, and he's like, "Oh." And then I don't know if he was working me or not, but then he made a comment and walked off, and I just stood there, and I'm like, was he working me, or what? Or should I have been mad at that? I just did not know.
We got to meet him earlier in the year. We got to meet him a couple times earlier in the year, and we were announcing some of his shows, and he thought we were just hardcore fans, just out there to be, which we are. We're hardcore fans. We go everywhere. We follow him all the way around the world, basically. We've been all the way to Toledo and all the way down to Florida and anywhere and everywhere in between where he's been. And, he just thought we were a fan. We asked him to come on the show, and he kind of big leagued us. He was like, yeah, I'm going to come on your show. Yeah. Well, a couple months later, he realized, once we started announcing for him and taking care of him and trying to make sure that he was doing good inside the business, and we started promoting for him and putting him out and putting the NWA out, and he kind of realized who we were. He came on our show, and everything changed. The whole dynamic changed. I love Carson Drake. I'm happy that he won the title. I'm very interested to see what he does with it, because as we saw with that television title, he has kind of a track record of not defending it the right way. He likes to get a lot of other people involved, some slime balls, you know what I mean? So, So he likes to get some other people involved. So I'm definitely interested to see how that turns out for him, Herman. I want to put you on the hot seat, though, Herman. Professor Bear, this is one of those questions that we have to ask, and it's going to be coming from you. I want to hear your personal perspective on this, and I want to know what you think, first and foremost, about Hulk Hogan and his body of work.
Now, let me, before I say any of that, let me say this. Anybody who has ever kept up with me and know me, they know I cannot stand Hulk Hogan. Just he gets on my nerves. This is me as a kid. I never was a Hulkamaniac.
Wow.
I just never. I was more of a Bobby the Brain Heenan fan than Hulk Hogan, and I truly believed when Bobby said something about Hulk, I believed it. Now, with all that being said, the body of work that Hogan left, there are, I would probably say, there's only a handful of guys in this business, past or present, that could carry wrestling like Hogan did.
Elaborate, name some.
Say again, I'm sorry.
Go ahead and elaborate, name some. Give us a handful.
Ric Flair. Stone Cold Steve Austin. I think John Cena. And I know it's gonna sound like, well, he's naming all the big guys. Well, Hogan was a big guy.
He birthed the big guys, really.
Hogan, it was a point. And if you are anything like me, you know your history about wrestling. Just think if the AWA would have put the title on him before Vince was able to take him, we wouldn't have had Hulkamania.
You would have never saw it. You'd have never saw Hulkamania. He'd have been AWA. They probably would have got a bigger contract, to be honest with you.
He would have had they would have had something. He would have still been big, but he wouldn't have been the Hogan we know. It's amazing the small little acts that most people would never think anything about changed the business. Hogan going to do Rocky 3 or 2, I can't remember which one, made him a well-known name. The Ganyas didn't like Hogan because Hogan was not their typical real wrestler. So Vince, being the genius that he is, whether you like him or not, he saw something that he could use with Hogan. Now, with Hogan, if he couldn't have got Hogan, he was going to go after Dusty Rhodes. He was going to go after another wrestler I know. At my mind can't think of his name. But Vince knew to appeal to modern, not fans, you had to have something spectacular. And he had the foresight to see that. I always say I'm a wrestling fan. I'm not an entertainment fan. I love the styles because we grew up in the South. We look at wrestling as real. We know it is not. It's not choreographed. It may be some things here and there, but to us, it's real and it's always going to be real.
It's a religion almost down here.
Exactly. So, but let me get back to Hogan again. Hogan, again, whether you like him or not, he knew how to politic his way. He knew how to stay on top. And he was smart enough when the going got tough, he knew how to politic and to move the way he needed to move. He, in WCW, he realized, man, they are not the same Hogan fans. I'm getting old. We got to come up with something fresh. Let me be a heel. A lot of people don't realize that Hogan started out as a heel.
Yeah.
So everybody's blown away because he was one of the biggest faces of all time, and he turned heel. Smart It gave WCW life. It gave the wrestling business life. And it led to the big boom of wrestling in the mid 90s.
Yeah, the 83 weeks where they were on top. WCW took over the world for 83 weeks.
So Hogan, and even to this day, as the man passed, his legacy and everything is still being felt today. Most people, if you who's the greatest wrestler of all time? Most people is going to go either Hogan or Flair. Most times you can tell that you don't need to know anything else about that fan except where they were raised. Because most Southern people prefer Flair. Most Northern people go for Hogan.
Yeah.
If you go east to west, it's a little mix there, but those are the two. John Cena is great. He had a great run. Stone Cold, great run, but they could never be Hogan and Flair. And the reason being, it was because the boom, the timeline. Again, John Cena is about to wrap up his career. He supposedly beat Ric Flair on world titles. But when you say the most world titles, 9 times out of 10, most people say Ric Flair.
Well, I say Ric Flair. I still say Ric Flair has the most world titles because there's still world titles that aren't sanctioned that Flair won that aren't even counted. They don't even count them, whether they're AWA, NWA, WCW, ACW. They don't count those titles, but he won a ton more. So I would still say Flair. I get where you're coming from between that. We're going to transition back to Hogan real quick, but you brought up an interesting point about John Cena. Do you think he's really done, or do you think that he's transitioning to move to another arena in professional wrestling, another area?
I think he's done. And the reason, and I think he's going to be more like The Rock. You're going to get every now and then appearance because John understands wrestling is what made him, just like The Rock. And it's so funny because when John was sitting there talking bad about The Rock, he didn't care about people, this, that, and the other. Wrestling, he's so ashamed of wrestling. He went right down the same path as Dwayne, and he had to, and him and The Rock had a conversation, and to John Cena's credit, he apologized to The Rock and said, I understand now what you were doing.
Right. And it makes a big difference in the world of wrestling. Let's transition back over to Hogan, though. I've got one final question for you on this. And as a man of color, as a man who lives in the South, and as a man who's watched professional wrestling for over 40 years, do you think Hulk Hogan was a racist?
I think Hogan had racist tendencies. And now, a lot of people won't understand what I just said. And I'm going to explain it to you. Most people have racist tendencies. It's because of where you are, where you were born, how the people around you, and stuff. So, do I think Hogan was an out and out racist? No, I don't. Do I think he had issues with some color people? Yes, I do. Do I think that he made it his lifelong mission to bury the blacks or the Puerto Ricans and the other races? No, I don't. The couple of things that really make him look bad: the tape, and I don't want to bring it up, but I think it's prevalent.
It's appropriate. Go ahead.
Is Donald Trump. Now, with the tape, when it first came out, people were losing their mind. I gave him a break, honestly, because I'm like, let's be real. We are on a professional format right now. So I'm going to talk a lot different than I do when I'm talking to my friends or I'm in a different setting. Now, because Hogan said what he said, people just went left because they have the ideal of Hulk Hogan saying your prayers, eating your vitamins, and all that good jazz. Hogan was a man, a human. Am I defending what he said? No. Do I understand why he said it? No, not really, but in another way I do. Again, we all have our feelings and stuff. If you caught me a few weeks ago and asked me what I think about Roos name. I can't think his name. He WC he was Booker at WCW when he came from WWF. Vince Russo, I'm sorry.
Vince Russo.
If you asked me a few weeks ago what I thought about Vince Russo, I'm like, he's not my cup of tea. Then I heard him say a racist, I took as a racist comment when the, SmackDown had the match and they were botching real bad and the ref messed up. He made the comment, oh, she's a DEA hire. They need to fire her. Right off the bat, if I saw Vince Russo to this right now, if my wife say, hey, some guys here to see you, well, send them in. If it was Vince Russo, y'all would get the pleasure of watching me kick Vince Russo's ass. Now, with all that being said, people have different times, do different things. When you're younger, you may say something stupid. You're older, you may say something stupid. We all have issues. I still didn't hold it against him. I just thought bad timing, slip of the tongue. Somebody got him at a bad point. Do I see him as Ku Klux Klan? And no. When he endorsed Trump, I was like, that I think set people off more than
I did too.
Than him saying the N-word. Because it's like, oh, you're gonna support him? Oh, well, we knew you were racist. We knew you was racist. But in the same token, I ain't heard one person say a damn thing about the Undertaker.
Well, Jim Cornette, our colleague, our friend here at the show, he's come out a couple of years ago. He had some problems with the National Wrestling Alliance and some things that were said live. And, he took a lot of heat for that. And I backed him. I said, listen, he's just talking. It's just professional wrestling. He didn't mean anything by it. I don't think that he's a racist whatsoever. I just think he was trying to make a point that the guy was fast. And people took it the wrong way. They really took it the wrong way. And so I think some of the same thing with Hogan. I think sometimes you have to look at the fruit of somebody, the body of work of somebody, and how they really feel with somebody. I mean, good Lord, he lost to the Sheik, right? Do you think a racist would be willing to lose to the Sheik? Do you think that he'd be willing to lose to Bad News Brown on several occasions? I mean, he would have vehemently have said, especially to Bad News Brown. I mean, I hate to say that, but he would have said absolutely not. So, and then I think once he reached the pinnacle, he could do whatever he wanted because he had complete control of his contract. So he could veto whatever he wanted to veto at that point. Do I think that it looks good on him, what he said, how he said it, the way it came out? Absolutely not. I'm not giving him a pass either. I'm just saying, in general, you have to look and see the man was a man. Men have problems. Women have problems. They all have something that gets them at some point in time. And if a recorder's on us 24/7, we're all going to say something that nobody wants to hear. And I think that that's what got caught up with Corny too. I think that when Corny said that at the National Wrestling Alliance, when he came out and said that they were chasing him and he was running across a certain continent like that, I think that it really hurt the wrong people in the wrong way. And they just went, boom, you're gone. And they had to do it though, because at that point in time, the National Wrestling Alliance didn't have any, they pardon my language, I hate to say this, sorry, National Wrestling Alliance, sorry, Billy Corgan, you didn't really have the fan base or the money coming in that you needed to be a national product. So you would have hurt yourself worse.
Let me say this. I remember it because I watched it live when he said it. I thought to myself, that was a funny joke.
It was hilarious.
Because I knew the context of what he meant. I've had the pleasure of meeting Jim Cornette twice in my life. Well, 3 times. I've never had a bad experience with Jim Cornette. Again, now Jim has his way of thinking and what he likes. I mean, he cannot stand what he calls a mud show or indie show. Well, again, that's his prerogative. That's what he's about. I will defend Jim Cornette to the ends of the earth because I know him well enough to know where he was coming from and a lot of why he feels that way. So again, we all, and I say this on my show a lot, guys, girls, remember, we are all human. None of us are not flawed. We all make mistakes and do things. If somebody makes a mistake and they really are trying to make up for it, give them that chance and grace to be okay to let them try again. None of us are perfect.
And there's no shame in asking for forgiveness. If you ask for forgiveness and you're really sincere about it, I believe the fan should have the option to forgive you. You're always going to have some people who are going to go, hey, this is the way this person is. This is what he said. This is what he's done. And I can't forgive him because of that. Well, so be it. Take the people you can get because, we are all human. Like you said, we all make mistakes. We all have problems. We all are dealing with something. And we've all said stuff behind closed doors. We've all done things behind closed doors that we wouldn't want anybody else to see or anybody else to know about. And, for those people who have come out in the limelight and had some problems with it, hey, I told you I'll defend Corny to tooth and nail, man. When he was at Smoky Mountain, when he ran Smoky Mountain, the man put over New Jack. He put New Jack on the map, and he made him a world champion. He made him a tag team champion. He made him a solo champion, and he put him through him and Mustafa both. I mean, and there's many more, but that's the biggest one that comes to mind when I think of Smoky Mountain. And he had the foresight to see if that he didn't do something with this crazy man, then somebody else was going to make money on him, and somebody else was going to be able to book him the way that he needed to be booked.
I was so lucky and blessed to meet New Jack and Mustafa when they won the Smoky Mountain titles. Me and a friend of mine, we were at Tennessee Valley Fair, and they had won the titles, but the ref took it back. Me, New Jack, Mustafa, and my friend talked for over an hour. They were this cool that we just sat there and talked. And the funny thing that I always remember from New Jack, he's like, hey, you want a drink? I said, I don't drink. I'm not into that. He said, that's cool. He said, I'm not into, I don't do no hard drugs, but I sit there and drink anybody under the table. And then where he went, I just crack up, but I knew him as a great guy, him and Mustafa.
They're excellent people. And, God rest his soul. He had some issues and some stuff has happened. And, we're now living in the past issues with him, things that have happened. And we have the stories. We got to see things firsthand. You got to hear about how crazy he was. And everybody faces demons inside the wrestling business. It doesn't matter if it's alcohol, if it's drugs, if it's sex, people have problems, right. They have issues inside the business. For crying out loud, we know Lex Luger had a lot of issues that caused a lot of problems, and I believe God's forgiven him. I think it's up to us to forgive him now for what's been done and what's happened, and he still goes to conventions, and I know that we were at a convention with him not too long back, and there was a lot of people there that were still angry with him, that went to his booth specifically to cuss him out, and he just sat there and took it and told him that he was sorry, that it didn't happen the way that he thought it was going to happen, and he wished that he could go back in time and change things, but he can't. That he's stuck with what's happened now, and that he's just asking for forgiveness from the people. And I think that that's really all that we can do is forgive people. And look, we don't know. That might have been the biggest wake up call in his life. And I don't know how you believe, Professor Barrett, but I believe in God. I believe that God's real, and I think that sometimes it takes a big wake up call like that in our lives to straighten us out and to get us right. And, he had some other stuff that's happened, and he's changed his whole life based upon that other stuff that's happened. I think that was his wake up call to say, hey, I got to get this under control, and we got to move. But
let me say this real quick. I love what you said that they're just asking for forgiveness. And personally, I think if you get forgiven from God, no matter what anyone else feels about you, it doesn't matter. And the one thing and I'm a big Lex Luger fan, always have been. Matter of fact, that's why I have that particular United States title hanging up, is because I love that title between him and Magnum TA. But getting back to the point is, you can only do what you can do. We all have problems, and that's what people need to really understand. We, as fans, we have issues too. We've done things wrong. So how dare we criticize the next man when we hadn't asked for forgiveness for what we did?
Absolutely. I couldn't agree. You said it the best. And, I think that when we're sincere in our heart and we ask for forgiveness and God forgives us, I think that that's the changing moment and the guiding light that's on our life. And the way he handled those fans at that, it was in Georgia, the way he handled them down there, it was just miraculous. Because I know the old Lex. I don't know if you remember the old Lex. The old Lex up and fought and screamed and cussed and fussed, and he would have raised hell. And he just told them straight up, I've asked forgiveness, and I'm sorry that it didn't turn out that way, and I wish I could go back. And if things were different, we would have done things a lot different. I was messed up, and he took full responsibility for it, took full responsibility for his actions. And that's all you can ask. And that's all we're asking of anybody that's out there, with whether it's Hulk Hogan, whether it's Jim Cornette, whether it's Lex Luger, whether it's anybody who's been inside the wrestling business, the Gino. We don't talk about Gino a lot. Gino had a lot of drug issues and a lot of things that went on in his life that caused him to be very paranoid. And he did a lot of bad things to a lot of good people because of his paranoia. And you gotta take that into account as his family. What's done is done. It's in the past, and we just have to move on from here. But the Fabulous Gino was one of the best wrestlers of all time, Professor Bear, in my opinion. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. Oh, yes. The tag team with him and Gentleman Chris Adams. Oh my God. And what's funny about it, I had a chance to talk to Dr. Tom Pritchard. It was at a convention, and he had the old Texas title with him. And that sparked our conversation, because I was like, oh, wow, you got the world-class title. Immediately, he's like, wow, you know that? I'm like, yeah, easily. I know that. So, again, he world-class was something like a comet. Just here for that moment, but shine so brightly.
Well, we've got you here right here on the Wrestling Society Network Facebook page here, Professor Bear, before we get you going here. And you can see it at thewrestlingsociety.com. They have all sorts of stuff. And God bless Mike Rotunda. We just found out today Mike Rotunda is currently undergoing hospice care for some stuff that's going on in his life. Keep him in your prayers. Keep his thoughts in your prayers as well. Bobby Horn there, Wildfire Tommy Rich. You got a bunch of wrestling stuff that's going on there. And then your personal page, the Professor Bear Society with the Wrestling Society Network. And you can catch him on TikTok with all the good stuff there as well. And my Lord, I didn't know that you were a nice little Smokey fan. You got Alabama on today, but you got Smokey on your page.
Well, that one was because of the loss to Alabama. I saw it, and somebody's like, Smokey is entering the transport portal, and I just enjoyed that.
That's hilarious. Well, they got whooped. I'll be the first one to tell you they got whooped up on this past week, and that definitely set them back, especially coming off that huge victory the year before, the year prior. Tennessee actually won. So that's another story for another day. That's another conversation. I can get you on some football conversation with the guys at River City Media if you want to do that one day.
Sure.
But I think we've covered just about everything, Professor Bear. Is there anything else that if they want to book you out there, if they want you to come to their show, if they want you to take pictures, video, anything like that, how can they get a hold of you?
The quickest way you can get in touch with me is go on Facebook, and you can look me up and get me on Messenger. It is Professor Bear Society. And if you prefer to do an email, it is at it's at Bear Wrestling Society at gmail.com.
Bear Wrestling at gmail.com, and it's linked to your link tree, which is /Bear Wrestling Society.
Just put that link tree up 2 hours ago.
It's a good thing you did, because I caught you with it.
But I wanted to talk about a couple of things real quick about what coming up soon on a Bear's Thought podcast. In January, I am having a wrestling podcast appreciation month. What that entails is I'm going to have different podcasters on my show, and we're going to talk about how they started liking wrestling, when they decided to do podcasts, what their formula is, and just give them their flowers. There are too many people who do not get their flowers when they are here to smell them.
Absolutely.
And I want to get people to see different styles of podcasting. Again, I maybe I don't care for your style, but doesn't take away my respect for you, because in the end, we're all into wrestling, and anything to make wrestling look good, I love.
Well, that's what it's all about. Is we spoke about it earlier, being better than you were yesterday. Well, that's including in indie and professional wrestling. You know how you mentioned that Corny didn't like mud shows. He didn't like mud shows because he was so professional that he wanted to have the standard of the WWE. He wanted to have, it was WWF then,
right,
but he wanted to have that standard in every promotion that he went to. And if you didn't hold yourself as a professional, he wouldn't use you as a professional. That's just the way it was. And I think that speaks a lot, not only to the character and ability, but it speaks a lot to you as a person, because you are specifically that way. And I believe you've got another show coming up tonight, correct?
Oh yeah. I've been blessed to get a couple of legends. I've had Bull Buchanan and Ahmed Johnson. Well, tonight I've been blessed to be talking with Downtown Bruno, aka Harvey Whippleman, WWE legend, Memphis legend.
Yes.
So I'm talking to him tonight at 9:00.
Tonight at 9, right here on the Wrestling Society Network and on Facebook.
On Facebook, on YouTube. You can if you go to our webpage, you can hear the audio version in a couple of days, because we do all our team has their audio loaded up on there also.
Awesome. Now, do you have any merchandise that's for sale currently?
I don't, but I'm working on it. And two things. One, I'm trying to figure out, this is one of the shirts. Well, jersey, not shirt, jersey. I'm going to give away. I have a few of them that I'm giving away for a couple of reasons. One, I want to give back to my fans. And I'm just still enamored that people like my show. They follow me, and I found out a few weeks ago that I'm overseas that they listen to my show, and that it blows my mind.
I can't tell you. I found out I was in Australia and I had over 1,500 people that would listen to it on a weekly basis. And that was several months ago. That was like 9 months ago. I found that out. And it just blew me away that I even had people who knew my show in Australia. And I have one contact in Australia. It's Pogo the Clown. If you don't know who Pogo is, you got to check him out. He's a Dr. Tom Pritchard kid. He graduated from JPWA just a couple months back. Well, about almost a year ago now, and he's been tearing up PWA out there. And he's my only contact in Australia. But I've had him on the show twice. And come to find out, those kids subscribe. They like and subscribe to everything. So it's really a blessing when you find out that you're in a new territory. You've got new people. And shout out to Pogo the Clown. You're the dirtiest clown in the game, baby.
The second thing I wanted to mention, well, I thought the third, but let me mention this. We talked about Crossfire feeling like, as if I call it my home promotion because I go there so much and know the guys and girls so much. But JCP, they're like a home promotion for me. And that's and it's funny. My first realization that wrestlers follow me too was I was blessed to have the American Diesel dump truck.
Yeah.
Ran up to me and like, man, I love you. Can I get a picture? I'm like, you do realize this is supposed to work the other way. I'm supposed to run up to you.
Right.
and he was such a great person that he actually inducted me in the Hall of Fame. He gave up a booking to come induct me. And he actually started crying when I asked him. And, when you have people that are willing to help you and do things, it's so touching. But for him to literally start crying just because I asked, that meant the world, and it means the world to me.
Oh, that means the world to anybody. I just can't wait for the day if it ever happens to me and I've got somebody picked and I know that they're going to do the same thing. So I hope that it happens. Fingers crossed. I don't know it will, but
it's coming because and it's funny when you talking about this right now, because I was telling somebody how much I love you and the style of announcing you do, because you're so detailed. What you make me think of is Gordon Soley.
Oh, wow.
Because you're so detailed, you're so good. And
Professor Bear, I'm about to cry. I'm about to tear up because, growing up, that's who we watched. We watched Gordon Soley.
And you have taken so much of his style and made your own out of it. I see it every time I watch your show. And you will, if I can get again, I'm not knocking what I do, but I feel you are on a higher level than me.
No.
Well, and I'm gonna tell you why. And the reason why, because anytime I tune into your show, it's so professional. And you give details. I was sitting and you were telling people who may not know, like me at the time, I didn't follow. I can't remember what promotion it was, but you gave the background, you gave the history. It was just bam, bam, bam. It was some people can talk and lose. You're lost. You're like, what? When you talk, I stop doing what I'm doing because I know you're saying importantly. You're doing it in such a professional manner. And again, me and I'm even going to bring up the personal comment that me and you talked, and you were like, you were done. You were going to give it up. And I said, you better not give it up. You're too good to give it up. You are such a great advocate for wrestling. We cannot lose you. And I meant that from the heart then, and I mean it from the heart now. You are just such a good not only just good podcaster, you're a great person. And we all, like you said, we're human. We have rough times and stuff. Sometimes God put people in your path to make sure that you know that you are important and he has a plan for you. Just don't give up on yourself.
We forget sometimes because you get so bogged down by life, and you get so bogged down by the other things that happen in your life and what's going on professionally, that you get so bogged down and you feel like you're not making any headroom and you're not going anywhere and you're just walking in mud is how you feel. You feel like you just can't get your feet out of the mud and onto solid ground sometimes. And my dad died this past year, and I've had a really hard time since he died. It just, something changed, and I know it's changed, and it's changed inside me, and it's changed inside the atmosphere. My dad was my biggest supporter with stuff, and my mom is my second biggest supporter. But my dad would talk to me about my show every week, and since losing him, I lost something, and I know I lost something. I lost something big, and it really, that and losing a contract, losing your money to do the show, and losing your money to be able to go to other shows and give comments and feedback from other shows and everything. That's been really tough this past year. And when we spoke, I was to a point of, is this it? Is this the end of it? Because that's the way it made you feel. It made me feel like all this stuff happened at one time, that it was just over with. And it took somebody like you. It took Rocky Shaw. And, I give Rocky Shaw crap a lot of times. We don't see eye to eye on everything. But Rocky Shaw told me I was a good announcer and a good caster, and that he liked what I did. And he always has encouraged me to continue the show on. But you two were the main two. And Randall Cunningham from River City Media was the third one that told me not to quit and told me to keep going and keep pushing on. And y'all were the big three that really just pushed me in to keep doing it and keep moving forward and keep going. And, it's a struggle because people don't realize what all goes into it. I mean, we have to sit and watch hours of footage. We have to go back and make sure that we've got the names of things correct. We've got to make sure that your name is correct, that when we're setting up your podcast directly, that we've got all the information correct for each match taken care of, or whatever's going on the shows that you've been on. And so there's a lot of work that goes behind the scenes that a lot of people don't really get to see. And sometimes that bogs you down in it too. And then people are flaky sometimes. You might book somebody. I mean, this from a podcaster standpoint. You might book somebody, and 2 minutes before the show is supposed to go live, they message you and go, "Hey, I can't make it tonight." And then you're just like, okay, well, what do I do? Do I have a backup? Can somebody else come on, or am I just going to have to throw another show on? So you have to just figure it out on the fly sometimes. And I've got to say, we got really lucky about 7 months ago. Casey, I'm going to give Casey Kazana and the Kazanas, AJ Kazana and Joe Kazana came on the show, and it changed the whole atmosphere for Wrestle Talk with Arabbidb3aver. Evan Golden came on, and he was the first one that really put us in the stratosphere. But when Casey and the boys came on, it changed everything. It was like we got instant success overnight. That's basically the way that it felt, is because people just started tuning in on a regular basis after that. It was like, okay, the guy's booking people. We're going to talk. We're going to listen to him. So, but you were one of the big ones, the big contracts there. And thank you so much for your time tonight. And thank you for all the kind words that you've said. And hopefully in the future that will happen. We hope that it happens in the future.
You are more than welcome. Again, and to speak on what you're talking about, hard times. I've had so many people thinking I make money from this.
No,
I would be
money on this. I don't make no money on this.
I tell you, I'll be straight honest. I don't make one dime from it. Let me take that lie back. I just started making a little money because I finally got a great sponsor. I got a couple of great sponsors, so I'm starting to make a little. But my point is, I don't do it for money. I don't do it for the fame. I don't do it. I do it because of the love. And my schedule is ridiculous now. And people like, how do you get these people? I just ask. Sometimes I'm blessed. They've talked to people and they've talked about how professional I am, or man, he's just funny, or whatever. I just ask and I try. Most people don't understand. A lot of times you can't succeed because you stop your own self.
Right.
I got a schedule now that most people will be like, you're stupid. One, two, you're crazy. I have get to just tonight, just tonight. I've been on another podcast, had one on my show, had been on yours, and then I still got another one after this. This is 4. And again, I'm not getting paid, and it's not a problem because I love what I'm doing. And I want to give back. Like in February, I'm gonna have a promotion appreciation month. I'm going to try to get many different promoters on or representative of that company on so we can talk about what their company is about. Where can you find it? Why are you doing this? Again, I want to give flowers, and anything I do, I'm going to do with my heart. Again, like you said, that cancellation, I got canceled on like 2 hours before my show. I wouldn't have had a problem with it because life is life, but it was what they said that it hurt my feelings. And I'm never going to mention their name, but they's like, I don't think it's a good match. Why didn't you tell me this 2 months ago when we booked? Because now you took a spot from somebody who actually wants to come on my show.
Mm-hmm.
And you're taking my time. If you want to be a professional, do it the right way. If you don't want to do my show, that's fine. You have to do some research about my show. That's fine. I'd rather you research and like, yeah, you're not the type of, okay, no problem. No problem at all. Not everybody wants to do my show. When I do my show, I'm honest. Like I tell my fans and my guests, most good podcasters do background checks. They know what's going on. They know where they've been, how they're going. I say, I do mine differently. I don't want to know too much about you for the fact I think people can see when I'm faking. I want to give my real emotions out. If I like something, I like it. I will give it. If I don't, I'm going to say it with all the respect in the world. But you're going to know Professor Bear is being truthful and trying to give you the best that he can give. I have show for November. I got probably, I think the last time I looked and count, I got I think 12 interviews in a 2-week period because I'm taking the week before and Thanksgiving week off. Then I jump back in. I think I got about 12, 13 again in a 2-week period. I'm taking Christmas, the week before and the week of Christmas off. Then I told you about the whole month of January where you're going to be back on too. And I'm going Monday through Friday, and I got such a great response that I had to do 2. And a couple of days I got to do 3. I don't mind because I enjoy it. February is the same thing. And this is all on love. So imagine if you put money behind it, what else I could do.
True. The best wrestler on God's green earth heard me griping about money one time, and he pulled me aside and he said, son, he said, if you want to make $1 million in this business, you got to get with somebody who's made $1 million. He said, but if your heart's not in it, then you're never going to make any money at all. He said, you got to make sure no matter if you're cleaning toilets or if you're driving somebody around to the airport or if you're carrying their luggage, he said, whatever you do, you make sure that you treat them with respect and your heart's in it. He said, because if you want to make money, if you want to make $1, you got to treat these people right. And that's what he said. And it stuck with me. You want to make $1, you want to make $1 million, you get with somebody who's made $1 million and you stick by them and you do whatever they ask and it'll happen for you. So, it's not a glorious business, not making any money sometimes, but you know what? It's like you said, you don't feel like you're making a difference, but I really feel like I've made a difference after talking to you tonight that the world of professional wrestling, indie wrestling is in a much better place because we have people like ourselves in the business now. So thank you.
I definitely do too. And again, I'm always going to give you praise to people because I know your work is phenomenal, and anything I can do to help you succeed, I'm going to do.
Thank you. Same here. If there's anything that we could do for you. Guys, that's going to be all the time we have for tonight. I want to thank you, Professor Bear, Mr. Herman Cade, from the Wrestling Society Network, the co-CEO here, for being with us tonight. And remember, you guys heard it right here first on Wrestle Talk with Arabbidb3aver. Bye, guys.